You all happy Monday morning. I hope you guys have a wonderful day so far. Now, we have a couple things that we have to keep our eyes on over the next couple of days, namely a first warn that's in place on your Tuesday. So that's for the chance to find some rain and potentially thunderstorms too that could interrupt that morning commute or just give you a couple slowdowns on the roads out there. So we're keeping a close eye on that. But we also do have a rain chance later on this afternoon that we're keeping a close eye on too. But again, Tuesday is looking to be more impactful, 40% chance of rain then. And we have that first warn in place. So let's start off with comparing today and the rain that we could find today to the rain that we're expecting on Tuesday. So first of all, through the rest of your morning, through the early afternoon, especially into the evening, we're going to build in that cloud cover. I'll show you satellite here in a second that will really show you how that's already happening due to a storm system out to our west that we are keeping incredibly close eyes on. And that may deliver us with some afternoon showers later on today. So that's today's rain chance. We're looking at showers possible, more likely for the Kansas side. But then on Tuesday, that's when we bring in the first warn. A second storm system tries to make its way towards us, but that one's looking to actually pull through the area and not at the most convenient time. We're talking during that morning commute. So that's why we have that first warn in place. Here's what we're seeing on radar right now. Here, dry, quiet, but you could start to see that cloud cover taking over Kansas, starting to push into the western side of the metro too. And if we look out further to the west, we can see exactly why this pretty large storm system has gotten up and going in central Kansas this morning. Now, it's looking to decay by the time it gets closer and closer to our neck of the woods, but this is something we're going to have to watch, and you could see those lighter rain bands over Manhattan traveling eastbound on I-70 there. That's what could deliver us with a small chance of rain, some showers later on this afternoon. So don't want you to be caught off guard if you do find some rain out there today, even though so far this morning we were treated to a lot of sunshine and continue to do so outside on your Midwest heating, cooling, and plumbing camera. But if you are to look to the west, you're going to start to see the first glimpses of those clouds beginning to move in over there. So throughout the morning with all that sunshine, we've already been able to warm up just a bit. We look to get warmer today than yesterday, and then so on and so forth. We're going to continue that trend through the rest of the work week, eventually putting us in the 90s by Friday. So quite a significant warm up. Enjoy these last more comfortable mornings while we have them. 70 degrees outside here in Kansas City right now. Some of us still lucky to stay in the 60s for now, in the mid 60s up in Chillicothe and Bethany too. As we make our way through the rest of the morning, we're looking to stay dry, warm up, mid 70s by lunchtime, but right around lunchtime and then onwards from that is when we'll find even more cloud cover and we'll start to find those rain chances kicking off. Now, today's rain chances are low at a 20%. We have a decent amount of dry air in place that's looking to fend off the bulk of that system out to our west right now. But not completely impossible that we don't find some spotty showers out there, including in the metro through this afternoon and the early evening. So that's something that we are going to have to watch and just know that that's a possibility as you're headed home from work, picking the kids up from the bus stop, headed out for any Monday night plans or errands. So that's today. Clouds build in, showers possible, 20% chance. But then we start to bring in that first warn on Tuesday, and that's mostly for a morning rain and storm chance as the second storm system tries to pull through right in the middle of that morning commute. So that's pretty impactful timing. Before I even show you forecast radar, I want you to know that you need to start planning ahead for your Tuesday morning, keeping that in mind for the bus stop, for getting out the door to work, school, wherever you need to go, because it looks to be a little bit more wet than what we had out there this morning and more impactful too. Once we clear these rain chances, that's today and tomorrow's, then we'll have high pressure settle in place, which essentially just means we'll be drying out and warming up pretty significantly, especially by the time we're reaching Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's when we could start to find temperatures in the 90s in the afternoon. A bit more moisture and just humidity will be accompanying that, but nothing like what we saw in August. So this won't be as humid of a heat, but definitely still something that you need to be prepared for, because these nice fall feels that we were treated to this beautiful weekend that we had is going to be left in the rear view. So let's talk about those rain chances today and tomorrow, get you a look at future track radar. So the rain chances, numbers wise, 20% today, but then we up it to a 40% on Tuesday. That's when that first one comes in. After that, yes, we'll dry out, we'll get rid of those rain chances. We can put them to rest by the middle of the week, but still looking to have a wet next 24, 36 hours or so before we can get on with that and bring back the sunshine. Let's check out future track radar and what we're looking at here. It's doing a pretty good job of showing that system out to the west, bringing in the cloud cover, essentially just like what we're seeing outside right now, and showing some light rainfall possible later on this morning. Now, it's a little ahead of itself. It's a little ahead of its schedule in terms of when that rain looks to come in. We do think that that'll have the ability to reach closer to the metro after lunchtime. That's where we could start to see that coming into play here. Out west is where the more moderate to at times heavier rainfall is looking to sit, but could still find some moments of that on the Kansas side through the early, mid, and late afternoon too. And then the system really looks to start to pull to the southeast, really depriving us of any more rain chances through the rest of your Monday night before they pick right back up just before midnight going into your Tuesday morning. So that's where we could start to see, yes, we have the cloud cover, but that first system is starting to make its way out of here. Then here's Monday late night, that's tonight, around 11 p.m. It's starting to show that we could find some initial rain before the bulk of this system moves through Tuesday morning. So keeping an eye on that tonight, but even more so on Tuesday morning. That's looking to be the more impactful rain chance, the more scattered to widespread one too, with some pockets of thunderstorms in there. So while we're not looking at severe weather concerns for your Tuesday or overly heavy rainfall, this is something that could wake you up briefly with some lightning out the window, some rumbles of thunder out there too through the early morning hours of your Tuesday. Here's a look at Tuesday, 6 a.m. I'll pause it there. If you have a more early morning commute or dropping the kids off earlier or anything like that, this is kind of what we're looking at. That looks to be when the bulk of this rain tries to near the metro. That's when we have this first one in place. Even after that though, it doesn't really get out of here all that quickly. Kind of takes its time pushing through right when we're trying to get on the roads, get things done to start our day. That's where that higher impact comes in, 7, 8 a.m. Starting to see more activity likely in the metro. And then after that, some showers still possible for us here in the metro, north of I-70, while the bulk of that rainfall moves south of I-70 towards our southernmost communities by 10, 11 a.m. And then by lunchtime, we really look to dry things up. Still possible that a lot of us are dealing with some cloud cover, maybe a few lingering showers possible, but after that, we're looking to stay mostly dry through the rest of your Tuesday afternoon and evening. Walk you through those rain chances on your Tuesday. That's where we have the first one is to start the day. After that, we really take rain chances down a notch, but 40% will be in place from about 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. when all of us are trying to get on the roads. Please be careful out there tomorrow morning, especially if that storm system tries to get on the rumblier side. It could briefly drop some heavy rainfall while it's passing through and before it fully gets kicked out of our way into the afternoon and evening. That's where we start to find those rain chances settling back in at a 0, which will be very nice once we can clear that storm system in the morning. So I mentioned we're not talking incredibly heavy rainfall or huge rainfall totals. The highest rainfall is likely over on the Kansas side, and we're talking about up to 1/4 of an inch elsewhere that finds rain. Now, of course, as always, if you get locked under a heavier downpour or even a thunderstorm, you could find rain totals slightly higher than this, but still we're not talking about a washout, and we're definitely not talking about a washout area wide. Even though the storm system doesn't come through at the best time of day, it does look to get out of here by lunchtime, so it's not just going to linger over us forever and ever, dropping tons of rainfall. Instead, it will move along there and then move off towards our southernmost communities, but in its wake could still leave 1/4 of an inch of rain. Isolated spots, seeing a bit more than that is possible on your Tuesday morning. So let's review. Let's see what we talked about with that Tuesday first warn, everything you need to know before I then move on to this warm up that we're going to experience. And it's that, first off, Tuesday has a higher likelihood of finding rain and more coverage of rain and higher intensity of rain than today. Today, we're just looking at some scattered showers there this afternoon. Tuesday, though, we bring in a 40% chance of rain, so that's higher, and we have the chance to find some thunderstorms out there. That includes in the metro. That's something that we're going to have to watch out for. If you're out and about or trying to send the kids out to the bus stop, but there's thunder out there, you need to get back inside. It's not safe to be out when you can hear thunder, because of course that means that there's lightning too, and also some delays to the morning commute possible, especially because this looks to arrive right in the middle of the morning commute for all of us, whether that's on the earlier side for you or on the later side of you. Know that that's likely going to make the roads out there a little wet. Everybody should try and slow down as they hit the roads tomorrow. So that's Monday. That's Tuesday with that increased rain chance and that first warn on the board. And then here comes Wednesday. We clear out the rain chances, we dry out, but since we'll have some drier air in place, definitely more sunshine, and a high pressure system tracks closer to us by Wednesday, we start to warm up. There's 86 degrees as your afternoon high on Wednesday, but check out where we're going after that. That's just the beginning. That's the first day where we find above average temperatures for this time of year. Instead of the mid 80s, we would like to be in the low 80s as we get closer and closer to fall, but alas, not going to be the case as we round out this upcoming work week. Thursday, 88 degrees, Friday, 90. So that looks to be the hottest day of the upcoming stretch that we're dealing with, but even once we look past this week and put that in the rear view, those first initial warmer days in the rear view, Climate Prediction Center and our in-house forecasting is hinting that that's not looking to really get out of our way. We're looking to stay warmer than average, potentially from now all the way through mid-September. So this is a look outwards at September 15th to September 21st, in about a week and a half from now. That's still keeping us at warmer than average, which would be those low 80s to upper 70s by that point. That means that we look to pretty much be in the 80s, potentially even by then. So while there will be fluctuations in there and we won't be hitting 90 every single day, just want you to know, looking ahead, kind of what trends are pointing to, and in general, what we can expect as we navigate through September and then get closer and closer to official fall time. Let's get you a look at that Security Bank 7-day forecast, which shows you everything I just mentioned about. First, we have today, rain chance at a 20%, 80 degrees, looking to be the high. We were able to bring that down slightly because we do look to have more cloud cover today. Then, late tonight into Tuesday morning, that's when we bring in the greater rain chance, a second storm system, this one that actually looks to track through our area, our neck of the woods, and then a 40% chance of rain. So we're also going to keep things 80 degrees tomorrow, a bit cooler, but that's mostly because we'll have some rain to keep us cooler in the morning and some cloud cover too. After that, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even into Saturday, a steady warm up. That puts us in the 90s by Friday and Saturday afternoons. It's not just the warm up though on that side of the clock, it's also in the mornings. Eventually we'll be stepping out to the upper 60s to start our day. Definitely will be a notable change than those 40-degree mornings that we had just a couple days ago. So just keep all that in mind and be extra careful on that morning commute tomorrow. Bill will be right back with a look at your headlines.
All right, good morning. It's Bill Hurrelbrink and Carolina Cruz along with you here for a beautiful day as we look out over downtown Kansas City. I want to thank you so much for joining us here on this Monday after a busy weekend around town, Carolina. I tell you what, there was just about something happening every single day. You could have filled up every 24 hours of every single day with something happening here in Kansas City this weekend.
I know, 'tis the fall season. I feel like, games are back, football games are back, but then you also had festivals and so many other events to really enjoy that nice weather out there.
Well, we'll talk about some of those football games. Some of them turned out better than others.
Yeah.
It depends on who you were rooting for. But we've got to look at your news headlines. And then coming up here a little bit later on this hour, we're going to send things over to Jeff City, where we'll check in for the swearing-in ceremony for Missouri's 45th Attorney General, Catherine Hanaway. We'll be taking that live here on KCTV 5 Plus coming up in just a little bit.
Yeah, I do want to say thank you to everyone who came out to the Old Settlers Day Parade in Olathe and joined us. 127th. There were so many people out there. I know it's been a tradition for a lot of families, and there were also some newbies, those babies that were out there, and that was just so fun to see.
It was fun to see, and we do have some video of that coming up here in just a little bit as well, so we'll make sure we get that lined up for you as well. But
Let's get right into it.
Now the headlines. Here we go.
Let's talk about this. This is a big story. I know we see them everywhere. I'm talking about these e-bikes, these e-scooters. Kids are just whizzing by on them. The Blue Valley School District knows that these are popular and only growing in popularity now, the e-bikes and e-scooters. So with it are safety concerns too, though. So the U.S. Product Safety Commission calls these devices the newest travel hazard no one saw coming. They've seen safety incidents and property damage pick up, and the district is putting together a plan because of this. Our KCTV5's Nathan Brennan explains the steps being taken that kids often don't take into account the dangers.
Hey, good morning, Kansas City. I'm Nathan Brennan in our newsroom here at KCTV5. Later tonight, the school board at the Blue Valley School District, they're going to be discussing some changes to policies and addressing some of those safety concerns when it comes to e-bikes and e-scooters. So you've probably seen a lot of these electronic devices in and around the Kansas City metro. It's become a hot topic across the entire Kansas City metro, and the Blue Valley School District really wanted to get ahead of some of these safety concerns that we've seen over the last several years. And there are a couple notes that I want to go over too, because they're going to be incorporating hopefully a student permit agreement. So that's going to be similar to what students sign if they have a vehicle on campus already. That's just going to be adopted for these e-bikes and e-scooters. That's going to come with a policy or a permit number and also guidelines that focus on safety. And really the reason that they're trying to get ahead of this is because there have been concerns within the Blue Valley School District in and around Overland Park as well. That includes anything like accidents, property damage, and child supervision, all reasons for some of these possible stricter rules. Again, that school board discussion is going to be later tonight at 5:30. You can follow us on our KCTV5 Plus on any of your streaming platforms for any updates.
I'm KCTV5's Yabby Luma here in Gardner at I-35 and Gardner Road. The bridge right next to me is set to be replaced. That project starting today. The $26 million feat will replace this bridge after neighbors and drivers voicing their concerns for over a year now. One of the biggest concerns was a 4-foot deep hole that was covered by a steel plate. Now, neighbors and drivers also concerned this bridge would collapse. The Kansas Department of Transportation addressing those concerns, saying the bridge would not collapse, but it did need more urgent attention. Now, again, this project starting today. Construction will run from 8 to 5 p.m., 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. until December. Now, that'll be Monday through Friday, including some Saturdays. Now, this schedule will change in December. It'll go from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. from Monday through Friday until March.
From Kansas, we're going over to Missouri. Missouri's first female attorney general has officially taken over. Governor Mike Kehoe appointed Catherine Hanaway to succeed Andrew Bailey, who is now going to be heading to Washington as the co-deputy director of the FBI. Hanaway is a former House Speaker and federal prosecutor. She says she's ready to uphold the law, protect the Constitution, and fight for Missouri's future.
Well, the battle over Missouri's congressional maps could heat up today as regular sessions in Jeff City get underway. It comes just 4 days it comes after 4 days of shorter technical sessions. Now, Democrats continue to push back against Governor Kehoe's plan to shake up Emanuel Cleaver's district and potentially send another Republican representative to Washington. Well, in Jefferson City, a handful of lawmakers, they staged a sit-in over the weekend, showing their frustrations with the state's redistricting plan. Now, back in Kansas City, Congressman Cleaver and Missouri Democrats, they rallied against what they call unconstitutional gerrymandering. Now, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar also weighed in, accusing MAP supporters of trying to rig the system.
No, we're going to let the people of Missouri vote, and we're not going to shut voices out.
Dividing people, that's what this is all about, just dividing. And they're saying, oh, if we can divide enough, we might win.
While Republicans, on the other hand, say the proposed map will preserve Missouri's values.
Let's get back here closer to the metro here. Kansas City police say an argument inside a business escalated into a deadly shooting over the weekend. Investigators say that shooting happened near Bannister and James A. Reed just after 11 o'clock Saturday night. They found a man shot inside that business and he died there. They believe that he actually hadn't been inside for long before that gunfire. This marks Kansas City's 111th homicide of the year. 42 of them were believed to have started with arguments. It's something police have often talked about. Right now, investigators have not made any arrests in this case, but if you have any information about what may have happened here, you can call the TIPS hotline or scan the QR code the QR code is available on our website. There you can make an anonymous report and help investigators figure out exactly who's responsible for this.
And you know that you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Carolina, about the police talked often about the de-escalating instead of escalating the arguments, which again they said we've seen 42 homicides this year have been because an escalation of an argument. And if they could just figure out a way to de-escalate and step back, cooler heads could prevail, and maybe that number would be so much lower.
So often they talk about that, and we know domestic violence incidents have also gone up when it comes to homicides. So that's also kind of another page to this whole thing.
Exactly. Well, take a look at your screen now. Do you remember these protests that happened all over the metro, actually really all over the nation, as people were protesting the Trump administration? They were called No Kings, and that coalition has announced there's going to be another round of those events in all 50 states. And again, these are just some of the video that we got from here in Kansas City. I know there was one in Lenexa off 87th Street. There was one down on the plaza. It was a big sea of people that showed up for these No Kings protests. We'll have to see if that's going to be like this again when these come back. We're hearing that will be in, October.
Yeah, I think October 18th is the date for that.
Yes.
Moving on to a safety alert. I know we love convenience and easiness with our busy lives, but this safety alert involves some dinner plans that you might have for this week. The CDC is recalling these home-delivered meals that can cause fever, diarrhea, and vomiting. We're told that this is actually a freezer meal style type. So if you bought any from this company, you were asked to just go ahead and toss it out. They probably contacted you about this. It's the 4-cheese tortellini, grilled chicken pesto. You can see all the different varieties right there on your screen. But if they maybe didn't contact you, or maybe you missed the email, just go ahead and check, toss out those meals, and then contact the company to try to get a refund.
Well, the Kansas City streetcar is going to be out of operation this week for maintenance on the new Main Street extension that's going to run all the way to UMKC. Now, riders can still use the free Streetcar Link bus service. That's going to run during normal streetcar hours, and streetcar service is expected to resume again next week.
Let's talk about some winners, because we had some winners in Missouri and Kansas.
Yes.
If you bought a Powerball ticket for Saturday night's drawing, check those numbers. Someone in Missouri is cashing in on part of that $1.8 billion jackpot. Those winning numbers were 11, 23, 44, 61, 62, with a Powerball of 17 and a multiplier of 2. So the winners can choose between two options always. It's that $893 million paid out over time this time around, or a $410 million lump sum that's before taxes. And then across the state line in Missouri, a Kansas ticket won $2 million, while 18 others nationwide hit it for $1 million each. Saturday's win ended that 42 draw jackpot drought, so it reset the pot back to just a measly $20 million
I got a
for
question
tonight.
for you. So, number one, did you play at all here over this last week or so as the Powerball fever was kind of taken off?
I didn't. I feel like sometimes when it gets so big, again, your chances are just so low. But I feel like if I were to play, I'd probably just buy one ticket and say it's this or nothing.
1 out of 292 million chances. But I think it's kind of neat that somebody in the Midwest won it. I had been reading a lot of things online that it's always somebody in California that wins it or something like that. But then you also got to think there's a lot more people that live in California than there are in the Midwest in a lot of cities, So probably one reason statistically. But I don't want to talk about math because I didn't win either. And I did buy a couple tickets last week, didn't win a dang thing on any of them. And of course, the time I didn't buy a ticket was when the jackpot is hit.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
I won on some scratchers. I think as much as like $50, and that's always a good day.
It's just always a good day to win money, isn't it?
It is.
All right. Well, unfortunately, there wasn't winning for the good guys down in Brazil over the weekend. And unfortunately, there was some additional losing that took place for one of our speedy wide receivers on the Kansas City Chiefs. Xavier Worthy, he went down after just 3 plays in the game. He collided with Travis Kelce in a crossing route. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reporting that Worthy dislocated his shoulder on that play, adding, quote, "The hope is he can return with a brace." Now, it's still unclear how much time he's going to miss. NFL Network also is saying that Worthy is seeking a second opinion, and we're expected an update early next week or early this week. But still, dislocating your shoulder and then putting a brace on to keep playing, that's pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, the video looked like he ran into a steel wall.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was Travis Kelce. He's no little guy.
Not pretty.
No.
All right, but let's talk about the actual game in Brazil. The season opener obviously didn't go as we had hoped for, but Kansas Cityans who made the trip still say it was so worth it for them. We talked with Kelly Barker. She was flying home from Sao Paulo, and she says the crowd was just filled with red and gold. We love to see it. She says the highlight was sharing her love of football while also experiencing and taking in Brazilian culture.
Just being able to share the rules and the stories about the Chiefs. Of course, they're excited about Taylor and Travis. It's been really a mix of learning from each other, and we were just so excited to be a part of teaching the folks here about Kansas City and our players and our coaches and just football in general.
And you can catch our full interview. It's available right now, right here on KCTV 5+ with Kelly. And let's talk about moving on, right? The Eagles and Chiefs matchup. Oh, the last time we saw them, it was not pretty. This has obviously been the Super Bowl championship rematch that we have been waiting to just get our redemption on. The Chiefs and Eagles meeting twice here in the last 3 years. The Chiefs winning Super Bowl 57 in 2023, losing last season's Super Bowl in New Orleans. I was there. Was not fun.
No.
But this time around, we're going to have a little bit more action.
Yeah.
The New Heights podcast crew will be at Power and Light this weekend for that inaugural New Heights tailgate. It's going to be happening from 9 until 5:30. On Sunday, there's going to be free barbecue. They're going to have cornhole battles, merchandise giveaways, and photo ops. And I'm really hoping we pull a win out on this one. We need it.
Yeah, I've never thought about actually going down to the Power and Light District to watch a game or everything, but I know this weekend it's going to be exceptionally crazy because I think you're going to have the NFL Network down there. You're going to have the British soccer stuff. They're going to shoot live from downtown, and then you're going to have New Heights down there as well. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This could be something worthwhile to go check out.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure Travis isn't going to be there, but
right.
I mean, still, Jason Kelce. Speaking of when you were at this year's Super Bowl, last year or 2 years ago, I was at the Super Bowl in Vegas, and I rode the bus home with Jason Kelce, and so I'd love to go down and just kind of see his take on everything again. Now that he's retired and everything. So.
Right.
All right, well, let's go to another sport here. How about the Royals? Because they've entered their series finale with the Twins, just one game out of a wild card spot. And unfortunately, they missed all their chances to improve on that. Minnesota avoided the sweep yesterday with a 5-1 win. That puts Kansas City 2 games back in the playoff race, and the road ahead remains crucial for the boys in blue. The Royals face several teams who are right by them in the wild card standings, so they're going to start that quest again tonight as they begin a series against the Guardians, and I believe that is going to be in Cleveland.
All right, wishing them all the best.
That's right.
If you saw some military
My bad. Go ahead.
Okay, if you saw some military helicopters flying over the city this weekend, hopefully you were able to take them in because history was made.
That's
it's going
right.
to be the last time many of those helicopters actually fly over the metro because they're basically that kind of like squadron's going to be now discontinued. We're told dozens of families were there. They were watching. It's something that they've done for many, many years with the Army Reserve Aviation Command, and our Gianni Navarro put this story together for you.
For generations, the sound of these Chinooks flying over Gardner has been a part of everyday life.
I've heard them flying over ever since I was little. I left, joined the Army, come back, I still hear them, and now I won't hear them no more.
Now residents say it just won't feel the same.
It's something that's normal. It won't be normal.
On Sunday, pilots took one final formation and flyover before they'll officially shut down on September 15th. For those who served here, the rotary wing going inactive cuts even deeper.
It's a sad day because we know that these folks have been here for 60 years. They flew A-model Chinooks, and now they've been through B's and C's and D's. Now we're up to brand new F models that they've had for a couple of years, but it's all going away.
Walter Bradley spent his entire military career with the unit and says it's a sad day to see it go.
There is no more reserve aviation component in Kansas or Missouri in the local area at all.
Other members say the entire team has always felt like family and are still in contact with many of them till this day.
This unit's been around a long time. It has good bones, it has good structure, and they take care of people. And it's just sad that it's going to be gone.
Although the helicopters may no longer fly, veterans say the memories, friendships, and its legacy will live on.
So very cool. I know a lot of people were posting about this over the weekend when they saw all the helicopters flying in formation, over the city.
Yeah.
I think there was a little concern about it from some folks, but then when they found out that it was just like they were saluting the city from being stationed here for so long, there was like everybody kind of got it, after that. So very cool story there again from our Gianni Navarro. It's always something else that just rattles the air, when those things fly over. So they're definitely going to be missed for sure.
And unfortunately, they say it has to do with some budget cuts, so that's unfortunate, but yeah, really glad they got a chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, definitely. Well, another place that a lot of people are having to say goodbye to is small breweries here around the metro. The latest one that we saw close here just last week was Crane Brewing over in Raytown, Missouri, after serving up some cold beer for a decade. Now, KCTV5's Ryan Hennessy takes us through that brewery closing and talk to some other brewers and their customers about what this means for the local beer scene.
Crane Brewing sat strategically here on the Rock Island Trail for a decade. Cyclists and walkers made this their go-to spot for a cold beer, but now their doors are closed for good.
It was disappointing. It was sad because it wasn't just a brewery. Crane Brewing was a community location. It's where a lot of the locals came.
Longtime customer Dave Thurman also sits on Raytown's Planning Commission and says the brewery was part of 2 future development plans.
Both of them included this particular area as potential for development. Crane was potentially a major player in that. Unfortunately, now that's changed.
Breweries face the same struggles as other small businesses, but with a stronger community tie.
Those traditions they had there, those activities that they were used to having there, they got to find some other location to do those things at. And also, every brewery is different.
For instance, Service was offering a painting class today. They are one of dozens of breweries in the metro, but Courtney admitted she's seen a shift in customers' spending habits.
And instead of that 10 or that 6 per week or whatever it was, they're only going to get the 1 or the 2. So they really want to focus on value. They want a beer that they love.
Limitless Brewing, Lenexa's first brewery, opened in 2018.
It is a different animal than it was when we opened.
Adding live music, a permanent food truck, and tight budgeting are all challenges that have come with growth and prosperity.
We label cans by hand. People are like, why don't you buy a machine? We're like, because you never know when you're going to need that $1,300 somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, it's a day-to-day.
And that day-to-day grind is something that all breweries battle to stay afloat and keep their doors open for the customers they value. In Raytown, Ryan Hennessy, KCTV5.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks had gone over to Crane Brewing there and had really enjoyed that. It sits right on one of the biking and hiking trails there, so people would bike by or stop and grab a brew, then go on about their way. And I know that one will definitely be missed. It's got to be hard. I think a lot of these brewers kind of start out. I wanted to be a brewer for a long time, buy one of those home brewing kits, They start out doing that. They kind of enjoy it. They develop something they like, and then take it next level. A lot of these folks have done it. Unfortunately, the market seems to be shifting a little bit, maybe kind of away from it.
Yeah. I mean, I know that we've had this big boom here in the metro just a few years back with like microbreweries and just a bunch of different breweries. I mean, you could literally go to a new one every weekend for a year and not be done. Our Brad Stevens even had that Friday Night Flights segment that he did, highlighting all of these breweries. But yeah, I mean, we've even been reading different studies that they've been doing and polls, and people might be shifting a little bit away from that. I still like a good beer every now and then.
Oh yeah, you can't have one now, but you can in a little bit.
I know.
All right, well let's go ahead and talk about Old Settlers, because this is something that both you and I did here over the weekend. It was Saturday in Olathe, the 127th year. This is the longest parade in Kansas, and this is the second year in a row you and I got to MC it.
Yeah, it was so fun. I mean, just getting to go out there. First of all, I thought it was going to be cold.
Oh, yeah.
And so I layered up, but thankfully the sun was shining. It was beautiful out there. And then we had so many people from our team. You can see like my KC Live folks right here, Kerrigan and Shane. They're I've talked to some people that said, "Oh, I got to meet them," and I'm like, "Aren't they hoots?" And that's our boss right there driving our First Warn 5 weather tracker. You know, that's, I think, cool that people get to see this because they only ever see the inside or the dash cam view of that vehicle on our severe weather days. So it's cool that they get to actually see up close and personal and see how big it is.
Yeah, it's a big vehicle and gets out there and goes through the snow and everything. And there's my buddy Brad Stevens again, getting up early for us on a Saturday after doing the 10 o'clock news the night before. So.
It's so funny because I mean, we see Brad maybe every like 4 months, you know, whether it's an event or if we have a meeting and our schedules just overlap. Otherwise, it's like, see you in another 4 months, Brad.
But every 3 or 4 months we get a chance to see him. So we got to have a staff meeting or two, and then we touch base with him. But I love seeing all the marching bands out there. And I mean, I didn't have marching band until I was in high school. To see all these middle school bands they had out there and how good they sounded too. You know, that was the impressive part. You know, some of these kids are just picking up horns and instruments for the first time in 5th grade, and then a year and a half later, they're not only playing that horn proficiently, but they're also marching while they do it as well. And there was just so many cool bands out there and so many cool floats, and it's just so fun to see the community come together for a singular event.
Yes, and I think they did a really good job this year. Sometimes in certain parades you go to, that's like they butt a bunch of bands, and I'm like, I can't even listen to which band is playing, but they did so good about that. My little 2-year-old girl, Cammie, was talking about the horses all day. The horses from that group right there. Yeah. She was so impressed. She's like, do horses. And my husband was like, no, just one, honey. And then he saw when they kind of split and you could see both. He's like, wow, she saw them before I did. Yeah. And then the horses for Mi Ranchito. Incredible. I mean, they had maybe like 10 out there galloping in the back, and Mi Ranchito's always the last to go because they just bring it. They know how to close a show. There
is a party going on there. They had the mariachi band there, and then hopefully we'll have some of the horses here because they were right after the trailer. But they were dancing and galloping and doing all that kind of fun stuff. Now, this is my dad's favorite right here, the Johnny Poppers, the old John Deere tractors and everything. This is all he used to do. He was more of a Red Power guy, but he still appreciated the John Deere stuff. And I noticed there was an international harvester that followed those a couple of tractors. They're kind of not fitting in with it, but then of course we want to shout out Children's Mercy. They were our broadcast sponsor for the parade, letting us bring it to you live on KSMO, on KCTV5 Plus, and KCTV5.com. And then one more time, got to shout out the Kansas City Mustang Club because they provided all the Mustangs that all of our talent rode in at the parade as well. One of these years, you and I should ride in a parade. We've become kind of the dedicated MC. Parade MCs here over the last couple of years, it seems like.
Have you ever been like in a parade on a convertible like that?
I've driven somebody in a parade in a convertible, but I've never ridden and waved at everybody.
I was on the homecoming court in high school, and that's the only other time I've been a part of the parade. And then I did like a pageant competition, so we got to do several parades on the float.
I know you've done this before, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. Can you demonstrate the appropriate wave that you do from your float?
And let me tell you, there were I forget what group they were, the cutest little girls. I think it was like the little six. I think it was like the little 6 girls. Yeah. And they're just their little waves, but it's elbow, elbow, wrist, 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 touch the pearls, and switch, switch, switch. That's what I was taught. And so that's what we would do. Elbow,
I love
elbow,
it.
wrist, wrist, wrist.
I love it. You got it. You got it. You got it. So, okay, I think we're going to step aside here for a few minutes. Again, we're still waiting for an update from Jefferson City. We're expected to hear from Governor Mike Kehoe and his appointee, who is set to become the 45th Attorney General of Missouri, and Catherine Hanaway. We will bring that to you live here on KCTV5 Plus, but for now we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just a few minutes, either with that, or we'll take a moment and we'll talk to one of the guitarists from the band The Plain White Tees. You might remember them from their song Hey There Delilah from about 20 years ago. They're going to be in Hutchinson coming up this weekend, so we'll talk to them coming back here in just a few minutes. Until then, sit tight. We'll see you here just around the corner. member of the Grammy-nominated band, the Plain White T's, which you probably know from the smash single, Hey There, Delilah, plus a few more. Want to welcome lead guitar player from the Plain White T's. Please give a big round of applause for Mr. Timothy Lopez. Man, thanks for taking some time with us and spending some time and hanging.
What's up? Good morning.
Well, we want to talk about the Plain White T's, but we also want to talk about your solo project as well, Timothy Howell. So kind of give us an idea of how this has evolved. You've been in the band for 20 years and touring for quite a while now. So why wait until just now to do this solo project?
Sheer laziness, Bill. Sheer laziness. I mean, I think that it's pretty easy to just slide into what's comfortable and stay right there where where all the bills are being paid. Starting a new musical venture is challenging, even with what a lot of would consider a leg up in the music business, having the history of the Plain White T's at my back. It really does feel like starting completely over and building a fan base from the ground up. So it's intimidating, but I'm doing it because this is where my artistic passion lies right now. You know, just gotta follow where the inspiration comes, and it's coming out country and Americana right now. So I'm actually struggling to write a Plain White T's song. Every time I sit down, I'm like, oh, we got a T's album coming pretty soon. I should be writing T's stuff, and it just keeps coming out country. So
yeah.
'Cause I wanna burn like a midnight cigarette, throw it in a field of dry brush, gonna set fire to the world and pour on gasoline.
I love the kind of almost a red dirt sound that you have to a lot of it. Smithereens is the first one that's coming out. I love the way that kind of starts out a little raw. It builds up in the chorus with the gasoline, the smithereens, and then you bring in the drums for the second verse. So you kind of touched on it here about separating the songwriting between the styles of the T's versus your own. So how are you wanting to differentiate yourself, I guess, then from the Plain White T's?
First off, thanks for doing your homework. Yeah, I mean, it's a totally different sound. I've written hit songs for Plain White T's that sound almost like you're sitting on a beach staring at the ocean, and they're love songs for girls in the past and stuff like that. But this, I guess the thing is with Plain White T's, like you said, I've been in the band for 21 years now, and when I joined, that band was already established. It was Tom Higginson's, he was the main writer of the band. And so when I joined, I wasn't writing songs. And when I started writing songs for that band, I always felt like, okay, I need to try to fit my songwriting into this box that Tom has created. And this project is just a free-for-all. Anything that feels like me gets put out as Timothy Howell's. So,
no, that's awesome. I did my homework, but also we're about the same age you and I are. And, you know, when I got out of college is right when the Plain White T's were doing their thing. And I joined a band in Kansas City here. And obviously we thought we were going to, you know, write the next big thing and tour the world and be super big rock stars. We ended up being like, you know, the third best bar band in Kansas City, playing 3 nights a week, which was great too. But you know, it's a grind on you, and it's a big thing when you're 20 years old to be out touring. It's a big thing when you join somebody's band and you try to write like them, right? Because I joined a guy's band and he had his own distinct sound, and he's like, well, do you want to throw anything at it? And I was like, man, this is your band. It's got your name on it, right? So I totally get that situation. But I do want to talk the touring aspect a little bit of it, because I never got the chance to go out on the road and do any of that fun stuff, right? But I got to imagine that touring is different now than it was, 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah, I love that it's like, do the touring and all that fun stuff. And it does feel like a young man's game, when we started, the T's were living in a 15-passenger van. At that point, there was 5 band members and several crew members living in a van. We could rarely afford a hotel room, and we would crash at fans' house sometimes just to get a shower. And it was a grind. We certainly are touring more comfortably now, and a lot of times, when we're coming out to, the show in at the college, it'll be a fly day. So I'll hop on a plane in the morning, fly out there, grab a hotel, use the gym, play the show, fly home. So not the grind that it used to be, but as we mentioned with like the Timothy Howell's project, it's starting over. So it's like getting back in your car and driving around Texas and playing shows, which is fun, honestly, but it better move faster than the last one did,
Yeah, and I mean, that leads me into my next question is, when can we see you perform the Timothy Howell's music? Because again, that's a catchy song. Smithereens is a good tune. And I think it's going to do well, and I'm anxious to see when, obviously, you're coming through with the Plain White Tees in September in both Warrensburg, Missouri, which is the show you were referring to, and Hutchinson for the State Fair for State of Kansas. But are you going to be touring any of the Timothy Howell stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the talks are happening right now. I think the plan currently is to try to really build a story out of Texas. But I did just sign with an agency, and I know the plans are to take over the United States and take over the world, Bill. So we'll see. I mean, keep an eye out for us, and hopefully it'll happen soon.
Nobody joins a band just thinking they're just going to hang out. Everybody wants to take over the world with their music, right?
Exactly.
Well, dude,
yeah. I mean,
I'm so
can't aim low. So
yeah, no, we got to aim for the stars. Aim for different galaxies, definitely. But I totally appreciate you taking some time. That maybe be one more thing about I want to ask about is, again, like I said, playing shows 20 years ago was you'd literally set up on stage, the drummer would give 4 on the hi-hat, and you'd go. Today, it's like such more of a production. It's like you got to make sure the laptop is in there. There's redundancies for the laptop in the stage show, which is cued with the lights, which is cued with the video boards and everything. Do you miss just the simplicity of going up there with 3 other dudes, doing 4 clicks and go?
I don't have to miss it, because that's how the Howells band plays. We don't play to tracks. It's a 6-piece band, so it's a very, very big sound without the use of computers. And yeah, there's a rawness. I mean, in the Plain White Tees, I don't even use an amplifier anymore. I use a modeling amp that's just getting pumped straight to your in-ears or whatever. And with Howells, I'm dragging around a heavy Fender amp and cranking it up. So, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I'm going deaf and I lose my voice almost every show, but it's super fun.
Man, there's something to be said about it. I think that's such a cool experience for a guy like yourself who's been out, who's done it big, but then is coming back kind of to your roots, so to speak, and doing it small stage again. So, but best of luck to you here in the future. Like I said, I love the tune Smithereens. I think it grooves. I love the way the song grows. Can't wait to hear more of your stuff. I know you're on Spotify, so yeah, plug your Spotify, your YouTube, all the channels where people can hear your music at.
Yeah. Everything is at Timothy Howell, so scope it out on Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all at Timothy Howell. And of course, go stream some Plain White Tees in the midst.
Yeah, got to get it over the 2 billion streams or whatever it is. Got to catch up with Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Awesome, Bill. Thanks, man.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself. Good to talk to you, and best of luck in the future. And hopefully, safe travels here for the times you're here near Kansas City and Hutchinson and Warrensburg. Okay.
We appreciate you.
Take care, sir.
KRES, it's cross country. No, oh.
Yeah, they're the southward capital of Missouri.
Oh.
That's a bill that was passed. So,
Are you gonna follow it then?
yes, but I'm also covering all of it.
How long, where's that from here? What county is that?
It might be Saline, but I'm not entirely sure.
I went to 2 new counties over the weekend. Polk. Home of Governor McCarthy. You have a sign, no, but they have a sign. The whole town was well. I knew where M17 was, the airstrip, flies, whatever. But there was another town outside of Oliver, and it's a small town, it's like whatever it is, home of Mike Parsons. Wheatland. It is Wheatland. Good call. And then also St. Clair County, Missouri.
St. Clair?
Missouri.
Is that right next to it?
Yeah, it's close. And then there's another one called Hickory,
So what was the highlight of your trip?
going through the county I've never been.
So
Being like, hey, it's Hickory County. I've never been here.
anything exciting? Okay, so I like nice town squares. Were there any?
No, that's not, those counties are not a town square kind of county.
Okay.
But you know, you've been to Camden, right? That's a nice town square little.
I don't think I've been to the town square
Oh,
itself.
you got this, right across the street from Ozark Land.
Okay.
Yeah, walnut bowls.
Okay.
I've never seen a walnut bowl.
It's made out of
Walnut.
walnut, like,
Balls.
made it.
That's all I could do the whole time. Balls. Pretty good eye. Balls.
Re-injuries.
But re-injuries.
They have pretty good impressions.
I can't. It's okay. I worked with this guy in Flake. He was just a Mike Parsons sound like.
It's awesome.
Very true. COVID.
Fiscal year 2026 budget. That's a good one.
Now I'm thinking of Dan Hegeman. Because he kept on talking about, I was interviewing him one while ago, he was trying to talk about STEM education. He kept on saying stem cell education.
Rusty flat sex. Silly shit. It's shat.
That's Livingston County.
It must be a Chillicothe.
It's still down to sliced bread. Yeah.
Sliced bread is rubbish. That's so shabby sliced bread.
They have a museum there I've always been to, the Grand River Museum, I think it is.
What bread slicer was?
Well, it's like the Grand River Museum, and then like picture, it's like a slice of bread. It's like a scoop. Chillicothe is cool. I like the airport in Chillicothe.
Actually, I like their town square.
Yeah, Chillicothe is cool. We like
Because of
Chillicothe.
the murals, it make it really kind of brighten up the.
We like Chillicothe.
Not a shabby town square.
Anybody go dove hunting?
We got started. That's right. Did you know?
No, I have not gone yet. But then I feel like by the time I go, like this weekend or something, I'll double be going. Where are they at?
Thank you so much for sitting down on the live desk to feature Win for KC. I want to start just by asking you a little bit about your background and how you got involved with the organization.
Only because it's been Missouri
Yeah, so I am a former student athlete. I played college soccer at Texas A&M Corpus Christi and really loved the student athlete experience and wanted to stay working in some space regarding sports. Wasn't really sure what that was at the time. So found myself working in student athlete development shortly after, so helping student athletes find different hobbies and identities outside of being just an athlete. So whether that's leadership development, career development, really helping them find communities to belong to outside of their sport, and loved every moment of that. Obviously, being a former college athlete on a women's sports team, I was very passionate about promoting women's sports. And so when I saw the opportunity to be a part of Win for KC and the Kansas City Sports Commission, I thought what they were doing was um, very unique and different from anywhere else I had really seen. And Kansas City has done such a great job promoting women's sports specifically. So I was like, this has to be an opportunity that I'm going to take advantage of. And I've been with the company for just over 3 months now, but have definitely already seen all of the awesome stuff that they're doing and excited to be a part of the team and continuing to fulfill our mission and vision of helping women and girls be empowered and advocated through sports.
Samantha, thanks so much for walking me through that. You know, I've seen Win for KC over the years just do incredible things in the community, really empowering and uplifting female athletes. And so, for people that might not know what Win for KC is, could you just kind of walk me through a little bit about what you all do there?
Yeah, so Win for KC, we really pride ourselves in empowering and advocating for women and girls through sports. So we are a part of the Kansas City Sports Commission and Foundation. And so with that, we help bring any different types of events that come to Kansas City. Our group helps bid on those. But Win for KC specifically has a lot of different initiatives and events that we have. I would say really our pillars and events that we host are based on youth leadership, community engagement, celebrations, and even mental health and well-being. So some of those big events that we host are the Women's Sports Awards. So last year we were able to host Caitlin Clark here. Our Women's Sports Awards is actually the biggest celebration in the country for National Girls and Women in Sports Day. So it usually happens around the first week of February when that national date falls. And so really that event is just to celebrate and our women and leaders in the Kansas City area. We recognize them through an award show and then always have our state champions in the Kansas City area be recognized, as well as it followed by a guest speaker. And then some other events that we host that are pretty signature to us is Camp Win. So Camp Win is hosted in the summer, and it's an opportunity where girls age 6 through 12 get introduced to 14 different sports throughout the course of 4 days. And that's really to help us. So girls are more likely, actually twice as likely, to drop out of sports at the compared to boys by the age of 14. And so we really want to be able to provide a space where girls can try new sports and feel like they're in a safe environment, have coaches who are there and care about them and want them to succeed, and hopefully they are more willing to try a new sport as they get older or feel more comfortable working with coaches, teammates, and all of those skills that really you learn and you don't realize as being a part of a team. So those are some of our signature events. We really want to reduce barriers, promote inclusivity, and create opportunities for women and girls through sports and leadership at any age and at any level.
Samantha, thanks so much for walking me through kind of the main things Win for KC features. You know, back when I was in high school, I helped out with one of your Camp Win camps at, I think it was the Kansas City North Community Center, but I just remember being so excited about the exposure to different sports. Like you said, 14 different sports these campers are exposed to throughout the week. And, you know, I think that girls in all sorts of sports, you know, it's growing, especially like women's wrestling and girls in football. And so how have you seen this organization really impact young athletes' lives?
That's a good question. I would say I've been able to see girls be more excited to try new sports and not be scared, really showing that bravery and that courage. Even some of the sports that we've had at our camps, for example, we have had some non-traditional sports like flag football. We've even had tackle football. The Kansas City Glory players came out and coached the session for our girls. And so seeing girls excited to try new sports and not being afraid of those barriers that maybe I felt when I was a kid. I know I was always like told you couldn't play football and football wasn't for girls. And so to see now that Missouri has football teams, flag football teams for girls, and there are so many colleges that are starting to have flag teams for girls, and even the Olympics are going to have flag football. And so just seeing some of those barriers and really be torn down, and girls just having that confidence and courage to try new things is really what keeps me going every day.
Samantha, it truly is incredible. And you know, it's 2025. I see women in sports only getting bigger throughout the country, throughout the world. And so as a former, graduated college athlete, you played soccer in college. What is your message to younger athletes who maybe have some apprehension or just need a little bit of encouragement?
Something that someone told me a while ago was just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Really embrace those challenges that are presented to you, because usually at the end of that light, there is something greater that you had no idea you could even be a part of. And so most of the hardships that I faced through sports led me to such rewards that now I look back and I'm like, those were some of the best moments of my life. And so whether some things were hard in those moments and you're like, why is this happening to me, or why am I having to go through this, it usually ended up with definitely a reward at the end. And so just embrace those challenges and really just have courage and be brave and be willing to be bold.
That is such an important message, especially for young athletes to hear. I think a big thing you touched on is the character development. Obviously, it's good in so many different aspects to try new sports while you're in middle school, high school, elementary school. But I think another thing is it really helps you emotionally mature. It helps you make friends, so much more than just the physical aspect of the sport itself. It's great for team building, and I think it just sets people up for success later in life. So could you kind of tell me a little bit how you've seen that in your own experiences?
My previous experience, even before when being around student athletes, they've just really been able to find their identity, even being a part of things outside of sports. So while sports are a great tool to help teach team building and team bonding and how to get along with others and teamwork, a lot of things with that are also having friendships and feeling like you belong to something bigger than yourselves and having purpose. And so I think having Camp Win and other events that we host, being able to see that girls walk away feeling empowered is really just like really rewarding. And we all in this world are looking for a place where we feel accepted and we feel like we add value and add purpose. And so anytime I can see a team or even just an individual walking away feeling that way, it's like, okay, we're doing something right here.
I think that's such a great way to put it. And so
Good morning,
you've
everyone.
hosted
Sorry, I'm running
athletes
just
like
a little bit late. I
Caitlin
try not to
Clark
do
at
that.
your events. And so I'm just curious,
Gonna
if
look
people
to
want to
you all
get
for a
involved and
thumbs
help
up when
out,
you
how can they
ready
do
to go?
that?
Everybody got their
Great question.
Good morning. I just maybe about an hour ago was sworn in to be Missouri's 45th Attorney General. Ginger Gooch from the Missouri Supreme Court swore me in. We asked her to do it because she was my law partner at Hush Blackwell, and I've known Ginger for some time. We also chose to have a very quiet swearing in just here in this office because I want to get to work. There's a lot to do. This office has had a lot of transition, and I am very eager to get down to the business of being Attorney General. We may have a little more celebratory swearing in about 6 weeks, but today my priority was to start serving Missourians. And my priorities are pretty clear. I want to fight crime, and then I want to protect Missourians. Protecting Missourians includes protecting our constitutional rights. I think my predecessors have done an incredible job at that work and bringing some of the biggest cases in the country. That work will continue, but my emphasis will also be on making sure that our local prosecutors and sheriffs have the support that they need, that all of the other functions of the office, like Medicaid, fraud enforcement, consumer protection, the no-call list, the protections we have for our farmers in agriculture, are points of emphasis, and that we work very hard on recruiting and retaining the very best lawyers. I don't view this as a political position so much as I view this as a job with some pretty specific duties, and that's why I wanted to get right down to work and focus not only on doing my job, but focus on the men and women who serve the state in the Attorney General's office. I want them to know that not only is the work that they do valued, but they are valued. So I'm going to spend the rest of the day meeting with senior leadership, but also walking around the Broadway building and getting to say hello to the people who've worked here for years and years and are very dedicated to serving Missourians. That's my number one priority. It is to serve not just Missouri as one big state, but to serve Missourians. And I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
I heard that the Bible is for men. Had a special story. Can you tell us that?
Sure, it was my son's Bible. I thought about bringing an old family Bible, but it was kind of exciting to have a Bible that I think might go forward with him. And it's like, it did have a camo cover because my son is a big hunter.
So you were elected as the first woman to serve as the House Speaker, and now the first woman to serve as Attorney General. Can you talk about what that means to you?
It means I have to wear lipstick for press conferences. I don't think any of my predecessors were doing that, but if they were, that might be a whole nother story. Look, I'm proud to have the position. I do think it means something, particularly to other women, that a woman is in this role. My mission is to do this job as well as I humanly possibly can, and I don't think that depends particularly on gender.
Are there particular initiatives that might impact women more so that you really want to try and prioritize, such as maybe the sex assault, rape kits,
Right.
that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I do think that like your life experience, anyone's life experience informs a little bit of how they do the job. So when I was elected to the legislature, I came with a 6-month-old baby. We were in our 30s, like we didn't have much money. We were worried about daycare. So that informed a lot of the way I handled different things that came up. A bill came up on the floor for background checks on daycare workers. Well, I was all for that because my 6-month-old was down the street in a daycare. And so there will be issues that come in front of me, and certainly if there remains, I know some of my predecessors have made getting caught up on those rape kits a real priority, but if there is still a backlog, it'll absolutely be a priority of mine to get fully caught up on the testing.
So, Catherine, the Constitution says that when the state receives census figures, the legislature shall redistrict. But it doesn't say they can't in the midterm. It doesn't say they can. How do you view our Constitution as far as whether the legislature can engage in a mid-cycle redistricting?
Well, obviously, this is an issue that is likely to be subject to litigation, so I want to be a little bit careful about how much I say, because they're still working on it over there, and I don't know exactly what the maps are going to look like that we're going to defend. But what I will say is I don't think there's any constitutional prohibition on redistricting mid-decade. What the Constitution says is, you know, they have to be as compact as possible and as clearly reflect the population as possible. I'm not so sure that 2020 census clearly reflected the population, so I don't think it's wrong that we're taking another look.
Yes. Then a question about your priorities going forward. Your predecessors, a lot of their tenure was focused on these sort of high-profile political national cases and cultural abortion cases. Do you anticipate following that same trend or focusing more on the state?
Well, I absolutely, positively believe in and will defend the constitutional rights of Missourians, and that's what I really think that they did. And so I'm going to continue to pursue the defense of the Constitution, to bring cases when Missourians' constitutional rights have been invaded. But I also want to do all the other parts of the job really well. Fighting crime, protecting consumers, protecting anyone who would rip off a Missourian, however they might try to do it. Well, so one of the things I really do hope to do with the office is to sort of at least bring us into the 20th century technologically. I already know that there are things that are needed, and they are going to be so boring to your readers, listeners, viewers. We don't have a great case management software that would help with these sunshine requests. I don't think we have centralized docketing, which means one place where all the deadlines are accumulated. We need that. We also need to look to AI, which I know can be scary in many ways, but there are some really simple lawyer functions that it can do, like writing a first draft of a deposition outline, writing a first draft of interrogatories, taking a crack at the first draft of some of the pleadings that need to be filed in a sunshine case. Of course, lawyers have to review those, but anything that we can do to use technology to speed things up, we're going to do. And we got to keep recruiting really talented people.
One of the cases that's hanging out there is Sam Page, the executive of St. Louis County. Is that going to move forward? Where does that stand in your mind? Is that something that is a priority?
Yeah, I think one of the most important and impressive things that Andrew Bailey did was once again make public corruption, the prosecution of public corruption, a high priority. That case will continue to move forward. I'm sure it's going to be hard fought. He's hired a former U.S. attorney to be his defense lawyer. So I'm going to support the office, and I'm sure that's a case I will be probably pretty personally involved in as well.
And the sheriff?
And sheriff, absolutely. We will continue to pursue that quo warranto.
I'll take one more question. So there's been a push from the White House to nationalize the National Guard to address violent crime in several states around the nation. If the conversation does end up leading to a city like St. Louis or Kansas City, what would your response be? Would you fight back against that? You said, constitutional rights to protect citizens and stuff. So what would be your position on that?
Well, I do not believe that bringing them in is unconstitutional, and I would say welcome. We need all the help that we can get fighting violent crime in our cities.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Chen with KCTV5 News. Welcome into another episode of Destination Heartland, where we go and explore some of the more fun places around the Kansas City metro. So today, again, we're headed west to Manhattan, Kansas. Yep, home of the Wildcats. But there is so much more to Manhattan than just K-State. So for that, I want to go ahead and bring in Marcia Rosell, and Marcia's with the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. Hello, Marcia. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Good afternoon, I should say. It's not morning anymore, but I'm
Yeah.
so glad to chat with you about Manhattan. It's one of my favorite topics.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so we always start out with the history of the town, because I find with so many of these towns around the Heartland, there is so much history to each of these towns. So tell us all about Manhattan.
Sure. So Manhattan came into its existence in 1855 when a group of abolitionists came down the Kansas River on the Hartford steamboat. They were actually trying to go to Junction City, the confluence of the two rivers, but they got stuck on a couple sandbars and they ended up here in Manhattan. There was already a group here that had named the town New Boston, and they worked together and said, as long as we can name it Manhattan, we'll stay. And so they did. And so that's how Manhattan came to be Manhattan.
That's so neat. And I mean, I imagine around town there you can still explore some of those historical sites, right?
You can, absolutely. At our Riley County Historical Museum, they still have the Hartford Bell that came off that steamboat. They also have a Hartford Home, which were prefabbed homes that came on that steamboat. So when the settlers came, they could put together housing very quickly. So those things are here in the community, and you can certainly see them.
And so when did, which I think is so fun, Manhattan get the name Little Apple? Because that's kind of what Manhattan is known as, is Little Apple.
It is. It was in the 70s when we actually copyrighted the term the Little Apple, and you can't imagine how many phone calls we still get with people thinking they're reaching the Big Apple when they're actually talking to us here in Kansas.
And Kansas, Manhattan, which we talked about, is known as home of K-State. I mean, that's a big part of Manhattan.
It's a very big part. We're thrilled to be a college community that has Kansas State University here, and it brings visitors all the time, not only every school year with new visitors that stay 4 to 5 years, but also with their families that come celebrate with Wildcat Nation. And certainly we've got sports that draw people in. So we're thrilled to be home of Kansas State University. We also have Fort Riley Army Post that's very close by as well.
And so when you talk about K-State, home of the Wildcats, we talk about it all the time here on KCTV5, the football games. I mean, those in itself are an experience. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So this year we're going to get to have 6 home games here at Manhattan. And those home games, they bring in people nights before the game. And so they'll tailgate up around the stadium. We've got, because we're an agricultural school, there's a lot of places that people can park their RVs if they're coming in RVs. We're certainly thrilled when they fill our hotels, but they can come ahead of time and celebrate the Wildcats. We encourage everyone to wear purple when they come because that is definitely something that happens. And then, of course, the night before the games, the K-State pep band goes around town. You'll find them a lot of times in Aggieville, but they've also spread out in other parts of the community. And I was at a grocery store and they came in cheering on everybody and getting them all excited. So it is an experience to come to Manhattan for football.
Oh, and I think just in general, that energy is electric. I'm sure that the town is completely painted purple when it happens.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Another time to come is when we have the homecoming parade. So homecoming's a big deal here for the students, and we'll have a parade that goes down Main Street. And so it's a fun, festive area to be in when we have home games.
That sounds so much fun. I have to get out there for a home game for sure. And so the other part of the K-State aspect is there's some elements that come with it that are actually quite interesting too.
There are. So on campus, there's the old dairy barn that is now the K-State Gardens, and it's open to the general public. It's free, and you can go there anytime. You feel international when you go there because just across the street is where the international students live in Jardine. But the gardens are amazing. They've expanded them. You learn so much about plants and the agricultural community, and then along with there at that dairy barn, they've got the Kansas Insect Zoo, which is just kind of this cute little area that you can go in. And one of my favorite things to do is they'll get the leaf cutter ants and they'll put some new leaves in there, and within 20 to 30 minutes a big plant has been processed and carried out and removed by the leaf cutter ants. So that's kind of one of these cool little places that not very many people get to see and know about unless they're attuned to K-State information.
That is cool. I didn't even know about that. And what I think is so neat about all these places is for kids especially, it gives them a good slice of what it's like to have farm life.
Right, exactly. And you can also tour the Kansas State University, the different animal science, dairy, the horse farm. You know, there's different places you can go to see the animals, and certainly all around surrounding the campus is agriculture. So it's definitely prevalent here in our community. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Beach Museum of Art. So that is this amazing museum that's right on the edge of campus. It's got all of the art that is created by Kansas artists, and it's really an amazing place to go in and see just different exhibits that they rotate throughout the year there in the Beach Museum of Art.
Oh, that's fantastic. And let's stick on that theme of exhibits, because Manhattan itself has so many different museums that people can go visit when they're there.
Absolutely. We have the new Museum of Art and Light that just opened in November. If you haven't seen it, it is definitely an experience not to miss. It is art with being immersed in that art. And so it's an amazing collection right now through September 4th. We still have Renoir that you can walk through the art, and just the movement and the exhilaration of the piece just can move a person. And then September 6th, it's a new exhibit. And so we're getting ready to have Dean Mitchell there, and it's Essence of Time, I believe is the name of it. So it is going to be incredible.
So many different things to do there. And I'm sure, we talked a lot about the art. So along with the museums comes the galleries too.
Sure. Right here in downtown, we have the SNW Gallery, and they bring in area artists as well. All of them usually are in the Flint Hills, if not Manhattan, but amazing artwork that is here, and it's available to purchase and take home and hang on your wall. So they always have changing exhibits, and great, just that love of artists and helping them to develop their craft and allow all of us in the public to come experience them.
And it's neat too because it's local artists, so maybe a lot of the history and the culture of Manhattan is captured in that art too.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It gets pulled into the pieces, and it's a wide range of pieces too. They change exhibits about every month.
Wow.
And so you can see different artists. It's very incredible. It's very inspirational. We also have the Manhattan Arts Center, where that is truly the locals that can produce, create. There's a clay studio and a watercolor studio. You can create your own art, and then they have exhibits there as well as theater productions.
Oh, that's so neat. Do they have any of these creative studios for kids too, that they can go kind of do this kind of thing? They do. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, so they offer a lot of classes throughout the summertime, and then during the school year, they'll do theater productions just in different random times throughout the year that brings in that kid perspective, because we always want to encourage our young ones to get involved in the arts and to explore and try new things. So they offer classes that are there with the clay studio and the watercolors, and then I believe they still have violin classes that they teach music. So.
Oh, that's so neat. I mean, it's so important to get the arts into our children early on so they can embrace that part of culture.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So the other thing that I want to talk about that I didn't know is that Manhattan has a zoo.
We do. We have the Sunset Zoo. It's has over 150 animals in it, and we just are celebrating a 1-year-old birthday of our 2 tiger cubs that are so incredibly playful, and it's fun to just go to the zoo and spend the time to watch them and see how they interact in their environment. We have a gorgeous zoo. They've been very intentional with the enclosures that they create, and not only are there tigers and sloth bears, but we also have the gibbons monkeys, where the gibbons do this a thing called brachiation, where they swing from branch to branch, and so their enclosure was built specifically so that they can do that. And boy, they're a lot of fun to watch.
And are there large animals there too at the zoo?
So we have our tigers. We also have a cheetah. We have a Maine wolf. So those are our large animals.
Oh, that is awesome. And does the zoo have events throughout the year? Like here in Kansas City, I think they have Boo at the zoo, that kind of thing.
We do. We have Spooktacular that happens at the zoo. We also have Wine in the Wild and Brew at the zoo. So those are annual events that if you want tickets for, you got to know when they happen because they sell out quickly.
Lots of things to do there for sure in Manhattan. But right now, Marcia, we want to just take a quick little break and then we'll come back because we have so much more to talk about. Fun things to do in Manhattan. So we'll be right back. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Chen with KCTV5 News. Welcome into another episode of Destination Heartland, where we go and explore some of the more fun places around the Kansas City metro. So today, again, we're headed west to Manhattan, Kansas. Yep, home of the Wildcats. But there is so much more to Manhattan than just K-State. So for that, I want to go ahead and bring in Marcia Rosell, and Marcia's with the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. Hello, Marcia. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Good afternoon, I should say. It's not morning anymore, but I'm so glad to chat with you about Manhattan. It's one of my favorite topics.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so we always start out with the history of the town because I find with so many of these towns around the Heartland, there is so much history to each of these towns. So tell us all about Manhattan.
Sure. So Manhattan came into its existence in 1855 when a group of abolitionists came down the Kansas River on the Hartford steamboat. They were actually trying to go to Junction City, the confluence of the two rivers, but they got stuck on a couple sandbars and they ended up here in Manhattan. There was already a group here that had named the town New Boston, and they worked together and said, as long as we can name it Manhattan, we'll stay. And so they did. And so that's how Manhattan came to be Manhattan.
That's so neat. And I mean, I imagine around town there you can still explore some of those historical sites, right?
You can, absolutely. At our Riley County Historical Museum, they still have the Hartford Bell that came off that steamboat. They also have a Hartford Home, which were prefabbed homes that came on that steamboat. So when the settlers came, they could put together housing very quickly. So that those things are here in the community, and you can certainly see them.
And so when did, which I think is so fun, Manhattan get the name Little Apple? Because that's kind of what Manhattan is known as, is Little Apple.
It is. It is. It was in the 70s when we actually copyrighted the term the Little Apple, and you can't imagine how many phone calls we still get with people thinking they're reaching the Big Apple when they're actually talking to us here in Kansas.
And Kansas, Manhattan, which we talked about, is known as home of K-State. I mean, that's a big part of Manhattan.
It's a very big part. We're thrilled to be a college community that has Kansas State University here, and it brings visitors all the time, not only every school year with new visitors that stay 4 to 5 years, but also with their families that come celebrate with Wildcat Nation. And certainly we've got sports that draw people in. So we're thrilled to be home of Kansas State University. We also have Fort Riley Army Post that's very close by as well.
And so when you talk about K-State, home of the Wildcats, we talk about it all the time here on KCTV5, the football games. I mean, those in itself are an experience. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So this year we're going to get to have 6 home games here at Manhattan. And those home games, they bring in people nights before the game. And so they'll tailgate up around the stadium. We've got, because we're an agricultural school, there's a lot of places that people can park their RVs if they're coming in RVs. We're certainly thrilled when they fill our hotels, but they can come ahead of time and celebrate the Wildcats. We encourage everyone to wear purple when they come because that is definitely something that happens. And then, of course, the night before the games, the K-State pep band goes around town. You'll find them a lot of times in Aggieville, but they've also spread out in other parts of the community. And I was at a grocery store, and they came in cheering on everybody and getting them all excited. So it is an experience to come to Manhattan for football.
Oh, and I think just in general, that energy is electric. I'm sure that the town is completely painted purple when it happens.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Another time to come is when we have the homecoming parade. So homecoming's a big deal here for the students, and we'll have a parade that goes down Main Street. And so it's a fun, festive area to be in when we have home games.
That sounds so much fun. I have to get out there for a home game for sure. And so the other part of the K-State aspect is there's some elements that come with it that are actually quite interesting too.
There are. So on campus, there's the old dairy barn that is now the K-State Gardens, and it's open to the general public. It's free, and you can go there anytime. You feel international when you go there because just across the street is where the international students live in Jardine. But the gardens are amazing. They've expanded them. You learn so much about plants and the agricultural community, and then along with there at that dairy barn, they've got the Kansas Insect Zoo, which is just kind of this cute little area that you can go in. And one of my favorite things to do is they'll get the leaf cutter ants and they'll put some new leaves in there, and within 20 to 30 minutes a big plant has been processed and carried out and removed by the leaf cutter ants. So that's kind of one of these cool little places that not very many people get to see and know about unless they're attuned to K-State information.
That is cool. I didn't even know about that. And what I think is so neat about all these places is for kids especially, it gives them a good slice of what it's like to have farm life.
Right, exactly. And you can also tour the Kansas State University, the different animal science dairy, the horse farm. You know, there's different places you can go to see the animals, and certainly all around surrounding the campus is agriculture. So it's definitely prevalent here in our community. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Beach Museum of Art. So that is this amazing museum that's right on the edge of campus. It's got all of the art that is created by Kansas artists, and it's really an amazing place to go in and see just different exhibits that they rotate throughout the year there in the Beach Museum of Art.
Oh, that's fantastic. And let's stick on that theme of exhibits, because Manhattan itself has so many different museums that people can go visit when they're there.
Absolutely. We have the new Museum of Art and Light that just opened in November. If you haven't seen it, it is definitely an experience not to miss. It is art with being immersed in that art. And so it's an amazing collection right now through September 4th. We still have Renoir that you can walk through the art, and just the movement and the exhilaration of the piece just can move a person. And then September 6th, it's a new exhibit, and so we're getting ready to have Dean Mitchell there, and it's Essence of Time, I believe, is the name of it. So it is going to be incredible.
So many different things to do there. And I'm sure, you know, we talked a lot about the art. So along with the museums comes the galleries too.
Sure. Right here in downtown, we have the SNW Gallery, and they bring in area artists as well. All of them usually are in the Flint Hills, if not Manhattan, but amazing artwork that is here, and it's available to purchase and take home and hang on your wall. So they always have changing exhibits, and great, just that love of artists and helping them to develop their craft and allow all of us in the public to come experience them.
And it's neat too because it's local artists, so maybe a lot of the history and the culture of Manhattan is captured in that art too.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It gets pulled into the pieces, and it's a wide range of pieces too. They change exhibits about every month.
Wow.
And so you can see different artists. It's very incredible. It's very inspirational. We also have the Manhattan Arts Center, where that is truly the locals that can produce, create. There's a clay studio and a watercolor studio. You can create your own art, and then they have exhibits there as well as theater productions.
Oh, that's so neat. Do they have any of these creative studios for kids too, that they can go kind of do this kind of thing? They do. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, so they offer a lot of classes throughout the summertime, and then during the school year, they'll do theater productions just in different random times throughout the year that brings in that kid perspective, because we always want to encourage our young ones to get involved in the arts and to explore and try new things. So they offer classes that are there with the clay studio and the watercolors, and then I believe they still have violin classes that they teach music. So.
Oh, that's so neat. I mean, it's so important to get the arts into our children early on so they can embrace that part of culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the other thing that I want to talk about that I didn't know is that Manhattan has a zoo.
We do. We have the Sunset Zoo. It has over 150 animals in it, and we just are celebrating a 1-year-old birthday of our 2 tiger cubs that are so incredibly playful, and it's fun to just go to the zoo and spend the time to watch them and see how they interact in their environment. We have a gorgeous zoo. They've been very intentional with the enclosures that they create, and not only are there tigers and sloth bears, but we also have the gibbons monkeys, where the gibbons do this a thing called brachiation, where they swing from branch to branch, and so their enclosure was built specifically so that they can do that. And boy, they're a lot of fun to watch.
And are there large animals there too at the zoo?
So we have our tigers. We also have a cheetah. We have a Maine wolf. So those are our large animals.
Oh, that is awesome. And does the zoo have events throughout the year? Like here in Kansas City, I think they have Boo at the zoo, that kind of thing.
We do. We have Spooktacular that happens at the zoo. We also have Wine in the Wild and Brew at the zoo. So those are annual events that if you want tickets for, you got to know when they happen because they sell out quickly.
Lots of things to do there for sure in Manhattan. But right now, Marcia, we want to just take a quick little break and then we'll come back because we have so much more to talk about. Fun things to do in Manhattan. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to Destination Heartland. Today we are exploring Manhattan, Kansas, and boy, I got to tell you, there is so much happening there. So right now I want to go ahead and bring back in Marcia Roselle. Hi, Marcia. Good to have you back with us again. All right, so before we went to break, we were talking about your fabulous zoo in Manhattan. But now I want to dig into a little bit of the downtown because there's so much there as well.
We have a gorgeous historic downtown that has been revitalized and has so much going on. So it is anchored by our Manhattan Town Center Mall. There's some great shopping that's along Poyntz Avenue, which is our main street. We've got a couple of places that you can find gifts and clothing and furniture and just things for your home. And it's wonderful to walk along downtown and Poyntz Avenue and just explore. And there's also a lot of great places to eat as well.
And so we talk about downtown. Are there any historic buildings like historic hotels there that people can explore?
There is. There's the Wareham Hotel that right now it's not a hotel for the public. It's an apartment complex for people. But we also have the Wareham Opera House, which has been purchased and it's become Wareham Hall. It's going to undergo a multi-million-dollar renovation. So stay tuned when it opens in late 2026 because it's going to be spectacular for performances and music and just a gathering place for the community.
Yeah, so much to do there. And, you spoke a little bit about, the dining. I'm sure that there's some really fun and unique places to dine there as well.
There's a lot of great places in downtown. We've put in some dining platforms. That happened a couple years ago, and they're just a great spot that you can be outside when the weather is ideal like it is right now. And you can eat. We have the Tallgrass Tap House. We have the Chef. We have Wine Dive. There's just some neat places that are locally owned. You'll get that food that is created here, as well as beverages. So we also have Manhattan Brewing Company that's in downtown. And so it's great to be outside. And then when it's not so nice out, you certainly can be inside and enjoy that food as well.
And part of being inside, of course, is the shopping, which I know there has to be a lot of cute boutique shops there.
There are a lot of cute boutique shops along Poyntz Avenue. And so there's the boutique itself, and then there's Gatherings 315, Winged Lion, the Pathfinder. There's so many places, as well as those places in the Manhattan Town Center Mall, which is right at the anchor of downtown. Plus, we have the farmers market. If you ever come over on a Saturday morning, there's a great farmers market that you can get fresh produce and art things and just walk around and enjoy being outside on a Saturday morning when it's beautiful out.
Oh, that sounds so much fun. And on top of farmers market, festivals in general, I know there's a whole list of festivals that happen in Manhattan.
There are a lot of festivals coming up. One of the ones we're most excited about that's coming soon is our Hot Air Balloon Festival. This will be the second year for it, and last year it rained, and so they were only able to do the glowing. But we're excited this year that that'll happen early November, the 6th through the 9th, and there'll be 18 to 22 balloons around town that will be glowing on Friday night. Plus, then there will be rides that can either be tethered rides or actual rides. And so we're looking forward to that festival. We're also looking forward to our tree lighting ceremony with the Festival of Lights. That'll happen for the holidays. And that tree lighting ceremony happens the Friday after Thanksgiving. So, between football and farmers markets, and we have some art events, there is always something happening in Manhattan.
I want to dig into the Hot Balloon Festival. That's Hot Air Balloon, not Hot Balloon Festival. Hot Air Balloon Festival. That sounds amazing, because usually when you think of hot air balloon festivals, you have to go to places like New Mexico. But this is happening right in our backyard in Manhattan, Kansas.
Yes, this is happening right here. And so, as I mentioned, there'll be 18 to 22 balloons that come into town for that weekend. And there'll be spots all over town that it's incredible to watch them lift off or have that balloon tethered on Friday night when it's dusk out and it's just starting to get dark, and then to watch it glow. And they're creative balloons. I mean, they're not just the plain balloons. They've got a lot of personality, if you can say that about a balloon, but it's got a lot of personality. And so those things will happen around town on Friday night, and then at the Northeast Park on Saturday morning, they'll actually have the liftoff of the balloons. And so there are people that have you can sign up to get a ride, or you can just watch and experience the balloons taking off. And then Saturday night they come back for a festival feel back in that Northeast Park when the balloons will glow again. And then Sunday morning they also have another opportunity to get a ride in a hot air balloon right here in Manhattan, Kansas.
That is so neat. Now, is that an event that draws a big crowd that people should be prepared for? I imagine it does.
It does. Like I said, this will be the second year. And so even last year when we had the glowing of the balloons, there was hundreds of people around each of those. I think we had 8 locations last year, and I believe they're expecting 8 to 10 locations this year on that Friday night for the glow. So a lot of times you can get up and get real personal with the balloon captain, because last year when it was at Blue Earth Plaza right here in our downtown, that balloon operator let you come up, you can see the basket, you can hear the balloon, you can take pictures with it. It's really interactive for the public. And then that Saturday morning at Northeast Park, certainly plan to come early, stay for the music, and then they'll have food trucks, and you'll get to see the balloons launch, and then you'll get to see them glow again. And so it'll be a great. Parking was always a challenge, so just keep that in mind. But as with anything, when you're just patient and you enjoy the festival itself, just wait for the crowds to dissipate, and then that's when you can head home.
Oh, that sounds so cool. I definitely want to get out there for that. I was reading, because Manhattan has so many unique events, and one of the ones that caught my eye, because my husband is a huge car buff, and that is the Midwest Dream Car Collection. And that's just one of many unique events in Manhattan.
Yeah, and that's actually a permanent attraction here in Manhattan. You can go to the Midwest Dream Car Collection throughout the week and throughout the year. They do have a lot of events that are for car people, enthusiasts. They'll have a coffee and car under the hood kind of talk. There's a couple of docents that are there that are so knowledgeable. They have over 65 cars that are there on that you can view. There's actually one that you can actually sit in. It was a gentleman who donated it to the museum after he passed away, because he just wanted to make sure that kids knew what it felt like to get into an antique car and be able to touch things.
That's so neat, and that's so important, because cars these days are so different than what they were before. One of the things about Manhattan, too, is that it kind of sits right at the beginning of the Flint Hills. And that's where I want to dig into the outdoor life opportunities there. It's a great place to go to kind of get out into the great outdoors.
Yeah, absolutely. The Flint Hills are very beautiful, and it's great to experience them. And so there's a couple places here in town. One I will say is go to the Flint Hills Discovery Center first, so that you learn all about what the Flint Hills are all about, and the ecology and the biology of the Flint Hills, why they're even called the Flint Hills, how you can experience them, the beauty of them, the seasons of the Flint Hills. And then to get out in them, there's the Kanza hiking trail out at the Kanza Biological Station. Now, it's a research station, so you can't take your dog there. They do burning experiments, and they get weather experiments out there. So, but there's hiking trails, and you can go out. There's 2, 4, and 6 mile hiking trails that are just gorgeous to walk in. I will tell you, the Flint Hills, there's some height to those hills, so you get a good workout.
Oh, I didn't know that. So there's some elevation there. So then what do people need to know before they head out there? I mean, they can bring their dogs out there, right? Other than
Not
the
at Kanza
research.
Prairie.
Oh, not at
Right.
Kanza Prairie.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Not at Kanza Prairie. But in other places in town, we certainly have the Top of the World, or we have Tuttle Creek State Park, where you can have your dog with you, and you can hike the trails that are out there and the beauty of the Flint Hills. And so just to see the different seasons of the Flint Hills, we talk about the fact that in the springtime they're burning the Flint Hills and it's black, but then within days of the burning, there's green grass coming up. That grass will grow with a good weather season of moisture. They'll grow 8 feet tall with the tall grass. And so right now we've had some great rain this summer, and so some of that grass is getting, over my head. And so you can walk among that grass and experience it, what it's like, because this is the last 4% of the tall grass prairie left in the United States, and they're right here in the Flint Hills. So to get out and experience is the best way to do that here in Manhattan.
And it's also a true, I think, slice of the Midwest when you think about prairie land. I mean, that is true prairie land out there.
It is. Absolutely. And we have a prairie-based river here, too, that runs right through Manhattan with the Kansas River, also affectionately known as the Kaw River. And so with that prairie-based river, the water is not crystal clear like you would have in Colorado, but it is definitely Kansas good quality water. And so having the Kansas River right here, you can get out and paddle on it. You can also go out to Tuttle Creek State Park, where there's lots of paddling. You can rent stand-up boards if you've ever tried to stand up on a paddling board. That you can use that in the river pond area, and so it's a fun activity to get out in the outdoors in Manhattan.
Can you do tubing out there too?
You can, absolutely. On the lake, there's a lake above the dam that you can have ski boats, and a lot of people water ski and do tubing. And so it's a busy lake a lot of times of the year.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I always love to see the video of people tubing down the river. It just looks so serene.
Yeah.
Okay. So it just, from K-State to the shopping downtown, museums, art galleries, and outdoor stuff. It just sounds like there is something for everyone out there in Manhattan.
There is something for everyone in all ages and multiple ages. We love it when families come together with extended family and come and experience the different attractions that we have and the places they can go. There's lots of gathering spots all over town for families, and if you're just all solo traveling, it's great to come out and explore. And there's something for everyone, regardless of the time of year. There's something to do year round. Certainly, we have the 4 full seasons that happen, and it's a great place to explore. There's tons to do. We have a great website where you can get on and see all about the calendar of events that we have as well. So that you can, when you're planning your trip, you know what there is going on.
And so you kind of touched on it, is that there's something going around year round. So I always ask this question, which I know it's the hardest question. If you had to pick, what are some of the best times of year to visit Manhattan?
Oh, I don't know if I can pick. I just can't, because I think personally, I love the change of seasons. And so we do experience it all. I mean, we're headed out of summertime. I think we're out of the 100-degree temperatures, which is a relief for those of us that don't like 100-degree plus weather.
Right.
And so, but during the summertime, I love to be out on the water, and so it's a great time to cool off in the water for the summertime. And then heading into fall, certainly with the students coming back into town and all that happens up at K-State, I mean, we feel that ebb and flow of the university that's here. And so that's a fun time. I love putting on a sweatshirt and walking around. I mean, and then wintertime, man, to put on your boots and to go walk in the snow when we have it's great. And then we head into springtime.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And that, what you just said, football season is just so much fun. So if someone were to plan a visit to Manhattan, how long should they plan for?
We think days. You can fill days, but if you only have a day, you can also come and spend a lot of time in the area that passionate for you. If you're into art, if you're into animals, if you're into exploring, there's tons to do. You could easily fill time. Certainly, we've also got golf courses that you can play out at Colbert Hills. I mean, I could go on and on about all the activities that you can fill for a weekend or a couple of days here in Manhattan, Kansas.
Well, certainly it sounds like a place that you can come back to again and again, and especially at the beginning of the Flint Hills there, you can kind of make a trip of that whole region.
Absolutely. You can start off here and learn about the Flint Hills at the Discovery Center. The immersive theater is amazing. It's kind of a 4D video, because you not only watch the film and you hear the film, but you also feel the film, because they have other things that happen in the theater while you're watching that show. And so you learn all about the Flint Hills, and then that really does excites you to get out and experience the Flint Hills. And so there's so many places just very locally around here that it's easy to go experience and do.
Oh, I love it. And lastly, where should people stay? What are some of the places that they should look into for stays?
Well, we've got 13 great hotels that are here, that each one has its own kind of little perspective and that you can experience. If you're wanting to be in Aggieville, we've got a couple of hotels in Aggieville that you can be around. If you want to be a little further out west, we've got a couple on that side of town. But then there's some Airbnbs that are very cool and different and unique. And we also have cabins out at the state park that you can rent.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. Marcia, I really want to thank you for joining me today on this episode of Destination Heartland. I can't wait to get out there and explore Manhattan for sure.
Please come.
All right. Thank you so much. Boy, doesn't Manhattan sound so much fun? Well, that does it for this episode of Destination Heartland. And remember, we explore a new location every week. A new episode drops every Tuesday, and you can find it on KCTV5 Plus, which is on your Roku, Apple TV, or Fire TV device. But that's it for now. Until our next episode, I'm Sharon Chen for KCTV5.